Oi, ouvintes da Alfa, eu tô aqui com a KT Tunstall e a gente vai conversar com ela um pouquinho. Hey Kate, how are you?
Hola, I'm so happy to be back in Brazil.
Yeah,
It's my dream.
Yes, after 11 years you returned to Brazil. Why so long?
So, to tell you a really short explanation of how gigs work, how shows work, when I came here in 2008, I had this huge album, right? And it sold 5 million copies. So all the guys working in the booking agencies and the promoters of the shows, they're like, oh yeah, come over, we'll do a show. And I think I played to like 2,000 or 3,000 people in 2008.
Yes.
And then after that, my albums, they were still good, but they weren't like huge like the first record. So I think the guys who work in those businesses are like, maybe let's see what happens with the next album. And then they're like, maybe the next album.
Okay.
And so all this time goes by. And because I'm British, I actually live in Los Angeles now, but it's expensive to bring the show here. So they worry that if there isn't enough people, then you're not going to make enough money. And so it kind of is this, it's business really. And every year I was saying, come on guys, just put me on a plane. I'll just take my guitar. I need to go back to Brazil. They're the best fans in the world. And finally this year I said, you know what? I'm going. If you can like help me or not, but I am going back to Brazil. And they were like, okay, we'll help you. So it's been really cool. I'm just so glad, and it definitely will not be that long before the next one,
please.
for sure.
You have a project to release an album trilogy which calls Soul, Body and Mind. Where does the idea came from?
So I took a break in 2012, 2013 because my father died, and I also got divorced. My whole life changed, really for a great future, actually. It changed, but it was very, very hard. And I think when you have these big things happen, you have two choices. You can pretend things are the same and just kind of band-aid everything, or you go, okay, let's look at this, let's look at what's wrong, let's look at what makes me unhappy, and let's change. And that's what I did. I decided to kind of start again. And so I needed to take a break from making records because I wasn't excited about records. I just needed some time.
Time for you.
Yeah, I needed time for me. And then when I started writing again, the songs were really about how to overcome difficulties from a soul point of view, you know, how your spirit deals with these obstacles in life. And really that album, Kin, in 2016, ended up being really about being grateful for difficulty, because it's when you learn things. And so it was all about the soul and the spirit. And then I thought, okay, well, next record, I really want to play a lot of electric guitar. I want it to be more physical. And I was like, okay, well, that's going to be about the body. And of course, the third one would be the mind, which is what I'm going to make next. And I think also, you know, we live in a weird time where music is, the way people get their music is changing. It's all streaming, and sometimes it's only one song. I'm like, nah, 3 albums. Not just one album, I'm going to do 3 albums. But I think that right now, it's really good to be making music. The world is crazy right now. And so I think, you know, it's a lot crazier than when I was here last time. And I think that it's really good to share work that has a lot of meaning and that has a lot of emotion and a lot of honesty. And I think that the subjects of soul, body and mind are, you know, these are the 3 parts of our existence on the planet as human beings. And so I think just bringing something with meaning is really, there's a really good purpose in that.
Deep.
Yeah. And you can just rock and drink beer and listen to the music. It's fine. Or just cry.
And you say that your last album, Walks, is different from the others.
Yeah.
Because you've grown up as a singer and composer. Would you say that this album is more personal than the others?
No, I think they're all really personal. All my music is always super personal. But what I think is different about this record is it's very rock and roll. It's a lot. I was really thinking about Jack White a lot when I made this record, because I think he's a genius and when, you know, sometimes in our generation we're like, well, where's our David Bowie? Where's Iggy Pop? Where's, you know, Chrissy Hind? I think Jack White is one of those guys, you know, and hip hop really is where there's a lot of really exciting stuff happening. The rock music needs to have its time again, I think. It's going to come around. But Jack White, I think, always is just making, I love The Dead Weather too, just amazing music. And what I found with this record, which was really interesting, also because I'm older, I'm 44 now, and anyone who's worried about getting into their 40s, do not worry. It is so good. It's the best. Like I feel the most confident and the most at peace with myself, and such a good relationship with myself as I get older. It just gets better. It's really hard in your 20s and 30s, you know. It's just like you're questioning everything. You don't know shit. And then when you get to 40, you realize you don't know anything, and it's completely cool. You don't need to worry. You don't need to worry about it. But what I found with Wax was it's a very sexy record. It's very sensual because it's electric guitar. And in the past, I always felt a very male energy when I played. It was kind of like, you know, this guitar, like penis. And so I always kind of felt like a tomboy. I always felt like a kind of one of the guys, you know.
This album,
and this record, I feel it's very female. And I feel I've really stepped into understanding that what felt like male energy is actually completely female energy. It's just this power and this confidence that maybe I always associated with guys, which is wrong. It's totally female. And, you know, I think with everything that's going on in the world, that was feeding into my understanding of that feeling as well. So on Wax, I also had an all-female band, which was really cool. I mean, I knew it would be really fun, but it was really strong. It was really powerful, and people loved seeing it.
Their power.
Yeah, they were like, well, people were surprised because they said, wow, I'm just realizing I don't see all girls playing rock music. Yes. And I think it's really important for young girls to see other female musicians. So.
What is your next album's gonna be? Can you tell something about it?
Yeah, so it's about the mind. It's the final part of the trilogy. So each album has a 3-letter title. So you have to guess what the third one is, all about the brain. And I want to reflect the way the way the brain works. So with this one, instead of working with one producer, I'm going to work with lots of different people. That brings it all together. So it's all these experiences that kind of form your memory. And then also, I'm really fascinated that the brain forms patterns, which become habits, which become behavior. So I think a lot of rhythm in this record to be a metaphor for those patterns of thought that we have.
And how do you prepare yourself to do an album? What are your inspirations? You said already Jack White.
Yeah.
What else?
Well, this trilogy has been very interesting because usually I can write about anything, but because I'm doing a trilogy with a theme per record, so this new record, it is about the mind. So I have to really build a fence around the subjects that I'm gonna sing about because I want it to fit with that idea. So in some ways it's a challenge, but in some ways it actually makes it easier because I know what I'm writing about. Whereas, you know, usually you've no idea. You just start from somewhere.
All your albums are musically different from each other. Do you like exploring new instruments or genres?
I really do, and it's really funny because as I look back on my career and I look at other people's careers, I realize that from a commercial point of view, it's a terrible idea.
No.
all the people who do the same thing again and again, they're so, you know, everybody knows what they're getting, so they're super successful. And I'm like, that album didn't do so well when I was making techno folk music in Germany. But it's what I do. It's what I'm interested in, and I don't want to do this unless I'm doing what's exciting. So I can't really care too much about it. And I think the fans I have are so loyal and they're so cool because they understand now that they don't know what they're going to get. And
it is exciting.
It is exciting, and that's why I really love Beck. I'm a big fan of Beck, and I think he inspired me really was because I loved Odelay, his first record, and then he makes Midnight Vultures, which is like a 70s disco record, and then he does Mutations, and then he does Information, and these really totally different sounding records, but you always know it's him because of his voice, because of his writing, because of his guitar. So that was really my inspiration, was Beck, to just trust that my writing and my voice is the common thread, and then I can explore all of the stuff that I love. I think I do have a sound though, underneath all the experimenting. I think that really I am a kind of folk rock musician. I can stand on the street and make some money just playing with a guitar, and I think that that's really the kind of essence of what I do.
The song Suddenly I See is still worldwide success and was part of the soundtrack of the movie Devil Wears Prada. You said you moved to Los Angeles,
yeah.
And I read somewhere it was to compose music for movies.
Yeah.
Is from this movie that this will came from?
So no, the Suddenly I See was the studio called up and said, "Can we use the song?" I was like, yeah, make a music video with Anne Hathaway and Meryl Streep, please. But then when I was writing music for film, which I still do sometimes, I wrote a song for a Colin Farrell movie called Winter's Tale, and it was really cool. They sent me, I didn't see the film, I didn't read the script. They sent me a very short paragraph of what the film was about, and it was really deep. It was all about what happens when you die and, the meaning of life, basically. And so I just have to really carefully kind of absorb what the director is asking for, and then I write the song with that in mind, and it was great. It all went good, and they were very happy. So, and then if I'm writing score for a film, I really enjoy that because it can sound completely different from my records. I did one short film, and it's all electronic, almost like horror music. So it's really nice to do something completely different. Yeah, for sure. It's hard though. It's a real skill, and I'm still a baby. I'm still learning.
And what do you expect from Brazil concerts?
I expect my fans are gonna explode. It's just incredible because ever since I was here in 2008, the Brazilian fans are in my life every single day. Every time I look at my phone, every time I look at my social media, always Brazilian fans. I love you.
Come to Brazil.
Where are you? Are you still alive? Are you ever coming back? Every day for, 11 years. So the difficult thing for me is deciding what to play for everybody, because I want to play every single song so everybody gets to hear their favorite song. But I'm looking on Twitter, and I'm looking on Instagram, and on Facebook. Yeah, and I'm checking what people are asking for. So I really hope I get it right for everyone. But it doesn't matter if I don't, because I'll be back again.
Okay. How's being in Brazil going after so many long? The fans' reaction, any food that you're trying?
So I only just got here to Sao Paulo, but I did have a very nice breakfast at the hotel. But last time I was in Brazil, I only ate fish. And now I've changed my diet, and so now I do eat steak. And so I'm really excited to have some really good Brazilian steak.
And some desserts like brigadeiro.
All of it. Please, all of it. That would be great.
And
what is that? What is it?
It's like a chocolate candy.
Oh, is it fudge, like caramel inside?
No.
Or all chocolate?
All chocolate.
Okay, sounds good.
Yes.
3, please.
And do you ever heard any Brazilian artists?
Well, I mean, I love Gilberto Gil and Astrid Gilberto, and that
right.
they're the really famous ones.
Yes.
You know, growing up in Britain, we really didn't hear any Brazilian music apart from them, and I love that kind of bossa nova. It's samba. It's just amazing, and it's really, I love this sort of fusion with jazz as well, where there's a real understanding of the instruments. Like, I think with Brazilian music, the little that I know, the musicians are incredible. You know, it's not like punk rock where people are kind of pretending and they're just smashing their guitar. Like, they really know how to play, and I really appreciate that. I appreciate that in all kinds of music, but I think it's beautiful when something is very pure and you can tell immediately where in the world that music is from. So I think that's really lovely.
And do you ever consider do music like in Brazilian style?
I'd love to. I think what would be really exciting would be to collaborate with a Brazilian artist and sing some Portuguese.
Yes, it would be nice.
I'd be like, hola, obrigado, that's all.
No, you're gonna...
I'll learn.
Yes,
I'll
you're
learn.
gonna learn. Well, that's it. Can you leave a message for your Brazilian fans?
Yeah, I want to say, is it obrigada or obrigado?
Obrigada.
Obrigada to all my fans in Brazil for being so patient and for waiting for me and for sending me so much love all these years. I'm going to pay you back with these shows. They're going to be awesome.
Gente, foi isso. Espero que vocês tenham gostado e até a próxima. Tchau.
Ciao.